What's going on, guys? Welcome to the latest episode of Can I Kick It? Brought to you by 2 Cents FC for the culture, and of course, Roughneck Scarves. This is your host, as always, Elliot Barr, and is joining me is not Shaneer, but another man with glorious hair, one of the most outspoken people on Banter Pub FC himself, Mr. Joe. How are you doing, sir?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, man. I can't complain. I'm excited to talk to you about this topic that we're going to tell our listeners about a little bit later. But first of all, let's talk about you. How are you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm all right. Hanging in there. Thanks for having me on, by the way. I really appreciate it. This has been a lot. This is another thing that I think has been a long time coming in terms of bucket list stuff to do whilst exploring my way through this community. It's great. I just celebrated a birthday not too long ago. What was it? Not last Saturday, but the Saturday before last. And I got to see some family members I hadn't seen in a while, which really, really lifted the spirits. So I'm in a really good place right now, personally. But apart from that, shout out to the Banter Pub FC, the world's greatest podcast. You don't know what it is already. Yes. So, boom. There you go.
Hey, ain't gonna lie, man. Like, the intro to the Banter Pub is like hot fire. Like, it's dope, yo. It's dope. Like, I feel like I have to go into a pub, like an actual bar, to sit there and listen to it. Yo. I'll be like, yo, let me get a number 2. No, for real though. If you haven't checked out the Banter Pub, man, make sure you do that. The reason why we brought Joe on today's show is because he not only is he an outspoken voice for Black soccer culture, but he's also an Arsenal fan. And who better to talk about Thierry Henry, the infamous incident of known as some call it the hand of God, the hand of frog, the hand of God.
But no, it's
it was all over. It was so many names for it. Yeah,
we're not calling it the hand of God. Definitely not calling it that. Like, because that was like, nah. But yeah,
we're talking about the incident that happened with T. France in Ireland that pretty much put Thierry Henry on Front Street. So before we go on, Joe, if you don't know the style of this podcast, we are a history podcast. So we like to give a little background information and whatnot. So I'm going to go through that real quick, and then we're going to go through the whole incident, okay?
All right, cool. Sounds great.
All right. So pretty much leading up to this game, France and Ireland both failed to qualify from the groups as winners. So they changed the group qualification pretty much before the top 2 would make it. And I think the last time that was the 2006 World Cup. 2010, they changed it to where only the first seed would make it and the second seed would go into another draw. So pretty much, like, if you finish second place, you got to play another round to get in. Pretty much, you wait for just want more money like they always do. Mm-hmm. So France was in Group 7. In that group was Serbia, Austria, Lithuania, Romania, and the Faroe Islands. France finished second with 21 points in second place. Ireland was in Group 8. They were in a group with Italy, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Montenegro, and Georgia, and they finished second place with 18 points. So in this draw system, this is where kind of you're going to see this theme throughout the story about this. There was a little bit of controversy about how UEFA kind of switched the seed system to pretty much favor the bigger teams. So they didn't want like matchups such as France-Portugal. They wanted France and Portugal to play smaller sides, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much what happened. The bigger sides were seeded, and then the smaller teams got placed with them. So that's pretty much what we all start off with. Okay. You know, the first leg kind of went by very easily. Not too much happened, not too much out of the way, except Nicholas Anelka scored in the 72nd minute. It was defectively shot outside of the box, normal stuff that happens in soccer. So, and the first leg was played at Ireland at the Cronky Park instead of the Lansdowne Road, which was being converted into the now known Avia Stadium.
The Aviva Stadium, that's right.
Yeah, and the second leg of France was going to play in the Stade de France. So we pick up at the second leg. And this is what I brought you in for, Joe. So France goes to the second leg pretty much. All thing you need to do is either get a clean sheet or match Ireland's score. And that didn't happen because Roy Keane opened the score in the 33rd minute, which, by the way, Roy has to be the angriest person I have ever seen do soccer punditry ever. Like I don't think I've ever seen that man smile.
I mean, it's linked to his career. If you know what he's been like as a player, you know that his punditry style is really he's just a crotchety man. That's just who he is. Like, don't piss him off, even though he is pissed off. So it's kind of hard to. You just have to roll with it. Like I don't really get it myself. Like you would think after the fairly illustrious career that he's had, he would have something to smile about, but he's just miserable all the time. So you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, like I swear this man stays in like a constant state of festivity, and I don't get it. I don't get it. But in the second place, but France's goal, the goal that kind of became controversial, was the Fran Maluda. Pretty much, he took a free kick just outside the center circle, and when he kicked it into the box, he went to the right side. And I'm gonna draw a picture for those who are trying to figure this out. The assistant referee is on the opposite side, so he's not behind where Thierry Henry kind of handballs it, so you can't see it. So his view is impeded. The center referee view is impeded, so no one can really see what's happening. The ball bounces to Thierry Henry. He taps it twice, comes into his right foot, taps it up to Gallas, and Gallas heads it in. Now, for those who might not remember who Florent Maluda is, I'd just like to take you back to the last Gold Cup where Florent Maluda was playing for the French Guinea team. He got suspended, and Guinea got kicked out of the Gold Cup because Maluda already was a French international. For those who don't remember. So, Joe, let me ask you this. Like, you being an Arsenal fan and you being born in England and everything, how was it at that moment? I don't know if you watched this game or not, but like, how was it at that moment when all this controversy happened?
So, admittedly, I didn't watch that particular playoff match live. That one was one that I had, like, with you have the notifications coming in where you were on a certain like news site like The Guardian or the BBC sports sites, and then the live ticker comes through. That's how I found out. And when I found out, admittedly, I was laughing my ass off because I'm just like, how do you not give that? And then what admittedly, it wasn't what happened then that I thought really made things spicy. It was Thierry Henry's comments after that really made things. I mean, Ireland was already incensed. Like, they were legitimately screwed. They were robbed. They're just like, you watch the whole course of the match, as I did afterwards, and you're just like, oh, okay, I can see why Ireland have beef. But it's a clear handball. But then again, Thierry Henry's right to a certain degree. If the referee doesn't see it, it can't be given. But it's also disingenuous at the same time because it's like, bro, you know what you did. Like, we all saw what you did. Like, it was a real contentious thing as far as like football fans and things of that nature, because if it goes another way, Ireland honestly could have had that place and France could have been staying home. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot was riding on this. And while I don't think people from a worldwide aspect were as invested in it, people who knew. And it was just like, it really, people couldn't get over it for a good couple of weeks. Like, I think it was something that people just have never really gotten over. Well, maybe now I think it might be water under the bridge. I don't see why anybody would still be angry about it now because Thierry Henry's retired. But like, at the end of the day, at the time, yeah, it was a big to-do. Like, people were absolutely incensed. Again, not necessarily just with the moment, but what Thierry Henry said afterwards is just like, because you've gotten away with it now. So it's kind of just like, when you're watching the Bond villain kind of cross his legs and he's stroking the cat, he knows he's got you beat. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, there's nothing you can do. So I'm just going to say whatever the hell I want. So and that's exactly what he did. So it was G shit. I'll give him that.
Yo, I have to say, I love your analogies. And that's the main reason I have you on for this podcast. Look, his quote. So before this incident, I just saw the goal itself. I never saw like the media afterwards. When I read the quote, in my head, I was thinking like, who is his PR person? Who is his PR person?
You see what I mean? It's just like, bruh, Thierry Henry chose violence that morning. I promise you he did. Like, at that moment, he chose violence. He said, you know what? We're through. I could really care less. I really couldn't care less what anybody thinks. I have done my job. So here's some kerosene. Where's that open flame? Okay. One time for my homies, bro. And it just went ahead and just lit the whole thing on fire. Just like it didn't need all that, but I respect it.
So this is how the quote goes. Pretty much Henry after the match said, yes, there was a hand, but I'm not the referee. Tuto, who was Sebastian Speletic, was in front. I was behind two Irishmen. The ball ricocheted, hit my hand, and I continued to play. Like, that's literally the quote. Like, he already admitted, like, he didn't deny it. He didn't say, like,
he didn't deny
it's nothing weird. He was like, no, it was a handball. And I took advantage of the situation. Now, where I do think Henry, and you can kind of see this throughout, he kind of has this awakening moment. I think he has his awakening moment because the French Football Federation, they never really had his back. And none of the major Frenchmen, such as Eric Cantona, Arsene Wenger, Arsene kind of had his back, but like other major French people throughout never really had his back and never really went up to fence for him. The only one that really did that was Patrice Evra.
Yes.
And I got to say, man, if you got Evra as a friend, Evra is loyal throughout. You can have a dead body standing in your bed, and Evra will lie to the police for you, be like, my homie go to church every day.
Patrice is who would be a good analogy for Patrice? Bobby Schmurder. He's definitely not snitching. Like, if he's going to go ahead and be a good soldier and he's going to do his time, and when he gets out, just make sure you nice him up. You understand? Like, that's Patrice Evra to a T, I think. So, yeah. No one else was really standing up for him. Benzema didn't say anything. Who else was on the side at that time?
Nicholas Anelka, Diarra.
Yep. None of them man really said anything about it. Because, again, I think it was all part of the strategy of everybody knows that he did it, but they're all through. So it's just like code of silence. Don't say nothing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're thinking, like, if we don't talk about it, we don't have to worry about it. And I think if FIFA would have done, because there's a two-side coin to this, and we'll get to it when we talk about the repeals and how Sepp Blatter plays a huge role in this. But if things play a different way, maybe this issue doesn't get blown out in proportion as was. But the coach of Ireland, Gino Taparini, pretty much said he didn't expect a replay, and he didn't think Henry was at fault. Pretty much he was just saying, like, he's a player. He's going to take advantage of the situation. He's on the refs to correct it, And then I can never say his name right. The French national team head coach, Ray Dominic. Did I say that right?
It's Dominic. I think it's Dominic, but Raymond Dominic. Yeah.
Yeah, Raymond Dominic. He really questioned the hate that Henry was getting right afterwards and the weeks following when France qualified. And then he questioned Eric Cantona. So a little backstory about this. Eric Cantona and Ray got beef in the streets. Like, whenever they see each other, it is on site. And I didn't realize this because pretty much Cantona was making very known, like, I do not think he is well served to be French national team coach. He was the coach for the Euros when France only won 1 point. He was the same coach that the famous blew up with the 2010 World Cup disaster. Like, it was not good. And Cantona was, and I think he kind of pulled Cantona. I think he pulled Henry into it just to make it even more known. Like, this guy is not qualified to be the head coach. I think Henry was thrown into the argument, but and also, we talk about our boy again, Roy Keane. He questioned FIFA and UEFA leadership by saying this is what they wanted. They wanted all the big teams in the tournament and wanted to leave the medals by the side. And then he also applauded Henry for asking for a replay. But in the same quote, he said Irish fans need to grow up and get over it because we had a bunch of chances to score. So we're requiring
this is what I was talking about earlier when I said that what Thierry Henry said was right. The officials were the ones that were supposed to have caught it, and they didn't. They failed there. Wasn't it also? Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it also when UEFA in particular were trialing having a fifth official near the net, like right near the net, so that they can see this stuff as well?
Yeah. So let's see. This was 2009 when this game happened. Yeah, because that Euro, so they did it in the Europa League where they had a fifth official just sit right there on the line.
Right there, just right there on the line. Yeah, for all that.
Before, I think this is before they had goal line technology. So the ref would just sit right there. That was his main job. But they were still trialing it. They haven't really implemented it yet. So if it went successful, then they would have been like, all right, we'll do this in the World Cup and things like that. But it was just a trial. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because that would have, if they had one of them. Even then, though, when they were doing that, it was kind of ridiculous because they were still missing things. But look, that's another conversation for another. Raymond Domenech got put through the ringer because he wasn't good enough to be the head, the manager of the French national team. But again, Roy Keane was right too. As miserable as he is, he was correct in saying that Ireland were kind of you're kind of overdoing it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, you're angry. Yes, you're upset. Yes, by all accounts, you should get a replay. But my God, some of the abuse that Thierry Henry was getting was well beyond the pale. Like, he was getting some seriously racist stuff sent his way. You know what I mean? Like, it was bad. But as I say, I appreciated the moment for what it was because he was like what I'd say sometimes every week was just like, why are you booing me? I'm right. Hannibal, what's his name? Hannibal Buress, when he's like, why are you booing me? I'm right. We know why we're booing you because you did handball it, mate. You did play it with your hand. But fair play, the referee should have caught it and didn't. And now you're just getting all this abuse. And it was him that asked for the replay, so he really couldn't have done anything more from that position. So,
no. Honestly, Henry did everything he could do. He did everything he could do. It was up to FIFA and UEFA, all of them to kind of say like, all right, we're going to do the right thing. Now we kind of get into the repeals part. See, look at you, man. I love the transitions. I love a good transition. So pretty much the Irish Federation decided that the match against Uzbekistan and Bahrain had their match overturned for error. That same qualification tournament, that same World Cup qualification. And pretty much filed a complaint against the French Football Federation and FIFA. On November 20th, FIFA turned down the request for a replay, pretty much saying that
it's not going down.
They pretty much went with the excuse of opening up Pandora's box because anyone can now complain about, oh well, we didn't get into the tournament because of this. And actually, in that same qualification round, there was an incident between Costa Rica and Uruguay that knocked Costa Rica out of qualifying for the 2010 World Cup. Uruguay gets in because of an offside goal that wasn't called offside. So pretty much FIFA was like, our hands are tied because if we change your result, we got to change their result, and it just gets all muddy and messy. But then this is where we get into the 33rd place team proposal by Sepp Blatter that was never supposed to be even talked about. So pretty much Slap mentioned, and by the way, I have to say, if there's a horrible person out there that is just like, he is riddled with like controversy, it is Slap Blatter. Like
he's a terrible human being. I don't understand
that biopic. I don't need it. I don't ever need that biopic of him.
I would prefer that we just acknowledge it was a thing that happened and we just move on. That's just kind of how I feel like we handle that, to be honest, because that guy got away with so much. But I think the biggest joke for Sepp Blatter was when he ran pretty much unopposed for FIFA president. If I can't remember which one of his reigns that was, but when he did that, I was just like, really, bro? Like, after everything has been done, nobody runs against this guy? Seriously? No one? That's dictator shit. I don't care what anybody says. But, like, it was wild to me that he got away with so much. And since the DOJ came in, where has he been? Like, it's like he died. It's like he disappeared. Like, where is he? Is he still alive right now?
I have no idea, man. Look, once Slap got removed, it was like FIFA just totally washed him out of history. Like you haven't heard anything about him since.
Is it like, you know when WWE did that to Hulk Hogan? Remember that? It was kind of like that. Like, bruh, it just scrubbed everything. And now we don't even know where this brother is. Like, he does all that madness and he just disappears. For real, son? Like, okay.
The moment I knew Slap Batter was not right in the head is when he said, to make women's football better,
make their shorts shorter.
Make their shorts shorter and not investing money. I was like, what? Like, all right, let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. All right, so Slap pretty much mentioned in a extraordinary general meeting, which, by the way, I don't even understand why FIFA has this. Like, they have committees for everything. Where he proposed Costa Rica, who I mentioned earlier got wrongly due by Uruguay, should also be allowed in the FIFA World Cup. Pretty much, Costa Rica will play France, and the Uruguay will play Ireland for the last spot. And then the winners of those two games will play for the last spot in the FIFA World Cup. And the proposal was like, not like hee ha ha, like dying laughing off the floor. Once again, FIFA denied the crash, saying that it would destroy the outlook of the game. It would make everything look a travesty. And Ireland was so incensed by this because they said that they blamed Blatter for just talking about the 3013 proposal. But when they had that meeting with Blatter, they literally only mentioned it for like a minute or two out of all the proposals they had. So Ireland, let me set the scene. Ireland came into this meeting with 10 things, 10 different ways of how this matter could be resolved. Slap Pat picked the 11th one. The one that was picked up on is just like, when they asked, like, do you have any additional comments? And it was like, maybe we can play Uruguay. Who knows? Like, and it's like really ran with this. And the Ireland FA feels as if that Blatter picked that proposal because he knew it was the one that would be shut down the quickest. And it kind of felt like he torpedoed their whole thing. Like, it didn't take them seriously.
The hardest thing about that is that, yes, he does have form for doing those kind of dubious kind of moves and those dubious kind of tactics. But how do you prove that, though? Because in a court for arbitration of sport, you're going to need to come with some like hard evidence that he knowingly did that. You have to prove that. So he knows that you're not going to be able to do that. And FIFA is beholden to pretty much no one. Like, they can have their own inner tribunals and decide what to do, what they want. No one's going to go against him. Again, we're talking about a guy who once ran for FIFA president unopposed. Like, he didn't have any opposition. No one tells him no. He was like, anyway, the point that I'm trying to make.
Pretty much paid for the 2010 World Cup to be in South Africa. Like, let's be real.
Yes.
He paid for it to be there.
Yes, he did. And no one said, you're not supposed to do that, because if you did, well, yeah, it was like mafia business. I just don't understand how he got away with
the Qatar World Cup that we have now in 2022. Like, that's what you end up with.
Do you see what I'm saying, my G? Like, it's just the point being, Sepp. Do I believe that the Irish Football Federation, for what they were saying about Sepp disingenuously and deliberately picking the most ridiculous of all the options that they put on the table? Yes, I do. I don't have any reason to not believe them. That is something that Sepp Blatter would do. But how do you go about proving that? It's down to credibility of the witness, isn't it? So at the end of the day, Sepp Blatter has much more influence than Ireland does in that kind of tribunal setting. So of course he walks. And that's if there is any credence to what he's been accused of at this point. But again, I totally saw, where Ireland were coming from, because Sepp Blatter is, and this is true, a jerk. So, like, he would do something like that. But
yeah,
Ireland were never gonna get one over on him. Not that way. No. Anyway.
So pretty much Slap also came out, and it's weird to see how he pretty much was one of the few voices, one of the bigger known voices that was supporting Thierry Henry. Because he said, like, Henry doesn't owe an apology to anyone. The ones that owe an apology are the referees. And by the way, the referee's name was Martin Hansen, who was a Swedish referee. For those who didn't know, like, directly after the game, referees are allowed to see important highlights of the game. This referee, when he saw the highlight, broke down into tears to the point where he had to be consoled. Like, they had to bring in a psychiatrist to console him because he realized, like, I have messed up this result. He was eventually selected to go to the 2010 World Cup. He retired right afterwards, but he received like massive amount of abuse from Irish fans and French fans alike, which I don't understand why French fans were sending him abuse.
I don't.
I don't understand. This is a weird.
Like, you know what it's like? It's like you see a group of people kicking somebody when they're down, and then you just go ahead and join in because everybody else is. It's just like, wait a minute, what are you doing here? This isn't your fight. Like, and what the referee went through it's deplorable. Like, at the end of the day, this is just a game. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we talk about it all the time that football is a religion and all that sort of stuff, but that doesn't justify sectarian violence. You know what I mean? Like, just to kind of piggyback off that analogy, it was a mistake on his part, yeah, but it's not worth death threats. It's not worth all the stuff that he's been through, not being able to go outside, going in public because everybody knows who you are, and getting all that public ridicule and things of that nature. It's not worth that.
No, it's not at all. So Blatter, up until this point, we don't have VAR, and Blatter was vehemently against VAR. Like, he was making it known, like, we do not need VAR, because this is around the same time NFL was starting to bring in instant challenges, NBA was starting to replay stuff, MLB was kind of headed in that direction, but like Seth was making it known, like, no FIFA league will have VAR. Like, we're not doing this. And even in this moment, he was saying, like, we're not having VAR. Nothing's wrong with this. Keep it pushing. Pass me my check for $5 million and collect. So that's all that's happening in this moment. And this is where, like, the first Pandora box, because I'm pretty sure you listen to these podcasts and you know the love how I get into the what if theories. Like, if this moment does not happen, it kind of makes you think, like, this moment was so big that we eventually did get the fifth official, assistant AIR, and then we did get VAR eventually out of that moment further down the road. If this moment doesn't happen, do we ever get VAR or do we ever get the assistant referee? Like, it makes you think. Like, this has big domino effects.
Yeah. So, This is 2000. This is 2009. So this is ahead of the 2010 World Cup when this happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to kind of consider the timeline of events, because if it doesn't happen off the back of this Ireland-France result, then it happens in 2006 when England, by virtue, really should have had a goal against Germany before they eventually lost 4-2. Like, England was just beside themselves. Although there was a kind of a healthy split there as well. On one hand, no, England didn't respond well. They should have kept playing. They should have kept fighting. But yes, you should have had a goal, and perhaps maybe the result would have been different. But at that point, that moment knocks morale out of a side. So you can't really have a if this doesn't happen, then this doesn't happen. I think VAR was inevitable, kind of like Thanos in the Avengers. Like, VAR was inevitable. It's coming. There's nothing you can really do about it. That's why they did the fifth official thing, to try and delay it some more. But it was ridiculous, because why do you have one person right down there when you can have cameras that don't even and you can actually see legitimately where the ball crossed the line or not? Like, that is far more efficient use of our time. It takes seconds, as opposed to having a whole human being down there on the pitch. Just It happens regardless. If it's this moment, if it's a moment after that, where somebody got called offside but shouldn't have. Like, what's another moment? When Iran almost beat Spain in the World Cup
yeah.
what was it, in 2018. Again, VAR is inevitable. It's coming for it's here now, so it's not going anywhere. But I mean, like, yeah, no, these moments will keep happening, and that's what VAR was invented for, I think.
Yeah, it definitely was. So Henry did have an investigation. On December 2nd, FIFA Disciplinary Committee, another committee by FIFA that probably is corrupt, opened an investigation on Henry. On January 16th, the disciplinary committee pretty much said that Henry would face no sanctions for the handball. Like, they were like, yeah, we're not sanctioning him for the handball. But even that, like, it's weird that he got cleared legally. But in the eyes of public opinion, he was being compared to, like, Ben Johnson, Tanya Harding, Crashgate, which I didn't even know was a thing. Like, I went into the weeds of this. So I figured out what Crashgate was. Pretty much this famous F1 driver pretty much crashed his car so his buddy can win and then lied about it. Didn't realize that was a thing. I don't know why you deliberately crash your car. You could just put your foot off the gas pedal. Could have, been safer. That's neither here nor there. But in eyes of public opinion, like, he was being ridiculed, and like Irish fans were pretty much saying like his career is done. He's looked at as a cheat. Arsenal, so he already moved from Arsenal at this point. He was at Barcelona. Arsene Wenger came out and said that he theorized that Henry didn't say anything because of the moment. Like, the moment pretty much got him. He realized, like, if I say something, then the French fans are pretty much going to ridicule me for being a good guy. If I don't say anything, the French fans are going to ridicule me for being a bad guy. Like, and that's pretty much true, because it's true. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect way of putting it, Elliot. Because I mean, think about this. He does the honorable thing. France don't go to the World Cup. He will no doubt be made and he'll be crucified for that. He'll be crucified for it. Yeah. Everybody always talks about, no, you have to do the good thing, the good sportsmanship thing, but not if it comes at the expense of being in the world's largest football tournament. Like, the World Cup is it. Like, this is it. You've reached the king, the king of all sports competitions. And the thing about it is that France hasn't been doing well in the World Cup up to this point. They have something to prove as well. As you mentioned, Ray Dominic's era is not looked at fondly from French football supporters. So my main thing here is I feel like it's hard for me to say that Thierry Henry knew that this was what he was doing when he played the ball with his hand. Like, it's hard for him to say that he knew it was going to get this ridiculous, because being compared to Tonya Harding, bro, come on now, bro.
Yeah, that's
really like Ben Johnson, come on now. Like, I understand that the Irish fans were incensed, but those are some wild comparisons to be making. But that's what it means. Do you know what I mean? That's what a place in the World Cup means. So it was irrational from the outset. I think from the moment he played the ball with his hand, it was outside of anybody's control, because nobody really saw this level of incendiary responses coming. Like,
not at all. So Sky Sports actually reported that since Ireland missed out on the World Cup, they missed out on $26 million like worth of like merchandise, sales, everything. Like, it kind of also was the end of Irish football at that moment, because you had the likes of Roy Keane and others. Like, this was an old squad, and it took a while for Ireland to get back to what it was. Like, I think their last tournament outside of this was the 2016 Euros, if memory serves me correct, I think. But they did get a payment from FIFA under the table, pretty much buying their silence, for a grand total of $5 million. That, if they had made the 2014 World Cup, they would have had to pay back to FIFA. So FIFA didn't give them this money, like, you know what, we got the decision wrong.
I didn't know that bit. Oh my God.
We should have given you guys the replay, but here's $5 million with the thing of if you make the 2014 World Cup, we get the money back. So now we get into my favorite part of the podcast, the what if section. Do you think Republic of Ireland, knowing that, pretty much was like, look, we're not going to go all out for the 2014 World Cup because we're not paying back this money? Yeah, man.
I didn't know that was a clause in the $5 million that they got, bro. Oh my God. Okay, that kind of changes everything. This is some G shit. Hold on. Wait a minute. So, okay. So $5 million that they would have had to pay back if they qualified for the 2014 World Cup, which was in Brazil, no?
Yeah, 2014 was Brazil.
That's right. Not that they would have wanted to qualify for that tournament either, because they don't go far in that tournament. So do they deliberately just throw the... I don't know, man. That's a good question.
It makes you think, like, knowing that if you qualify for 2014 World Cup, not only did you miss out on the money for 2010, you have to then repay
back money that you were basically it was a loan. It was a conditional loan. You can keep the money if you don't qualify for. But then again, okay, so how further does this conspiracy theory go? Because if they're deliberately throwing matches to not pay back the $5 million, can we then realistically say that FIFA turned around and said, "Oh, here's $5 million. We know you should have been in 2010, but if you don't, wink, wink, qualify for the 2014 World Cup, wink, wink, then you don't have to pay this money back. Catch my drift, wink." So it's just like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? Like,
right. So look, this was their group in 2014. They were in Group C. They were with Germany, Sweden, Austria, Kazakhstan, and Faroe Islands. They finished fourth on 14 points, missing out on the second spot, which was Sweden, who finished on 20 points. But this is the kicker. Their last 4 games going into qualifying, they played Austria, Sweden, Germany. Germany, of course, beat the brakes off them. But Sweden and Austria, they lost those games by a goal. So once again, the last game was against Faroe Islands.
It's compelling. It's compelling, but I'm just like, I don't know, because that's big talk. That's big talk. Do you actually throw that away just for $5 million? $5 million is a lot of money, but it's not 26 million that you.
It's not, but this is also the thing. So when they were building the Aviva Stadium in 2010, there was a loan out on it, and the loan was like, if you make it to the 2014 World Cup, you pay us the money. Since he didn't make it, he didn't have to pay the money back for the Aviva Stadium. It was pretty much just like, well, you didn't make the 2014 World Cup. We're just going to cut down the loan that they took out from FIFA. So pretty much FIFA was like, here's $5 million. We're not going to give you the loan, or we were going to close out the loan and just pretend like this incident never happened.
I don't know. You got my head spinning. Like, what?
I'm telling you, man. This moment in history is so many different. Is that moment in the Avengers Endgame when Hulk is talking to I can't remember her name. I can't remember the character's name right now. But when she's pretty much sitting there with like the timeline, and she's like, from this moment, there are multiple timelines branching off, and it makes you think, like, if this moment doesn't happen, like say if Henry scores right after Roy Keane scores at the 45th minute, game doesn't go to extra time. VAR doesn't happen when it's supposed to happen. But then also in this moment, you don't have the French implosion that happened in the 2010 World Cup. You don't have Anelka, Ribéry, Evra all getting suspended from the 2010 World Cup. That then leads to Dominic getting fired. That then also leads to the 2014 rebuild of the French national team. That then leads to the 2018 World Cup win. It makes you think. Like, it makes you sit there and think, like, yo, from this one hand that touched the ball, 1,000 dominoes fell that we are now stuck with. Like, jeez,
it is awesome. Mind blowing. It is mind blowing from that aspect.
Yeah,
but
this also displays how Henry started to be like that off-hands figure with the media, because up until this moment he was very hands-on. I'll definitely let you speak about this, but he was very hands-on with the media. But after this point, he starts to become like, I don't want nothing to do with y'all.
I think there's a bit of truth in that. Although I think he's always been one to kind of play up certain moments. Like my favorite moment was when he scored that free kick against Wigan Athletic, and he looks over to the ref and is like, "Is that enough?" Because he told him that he hadn't placed the ball right where the referee had pointed out before. So then he scores that incredible free kick, and he looks over at the ref and is like, "Is that enough?" And then the whole Arsenal side just kind of like swarms him and things of that nature. But he's always been one to kind of play up the moment. He's always been one to kind of really rub salt in the wound when he scored against you. He's a competitor. He's highly competitive. I get it. But I think at that moment, the kind of vitriol that he was seeing was not like anything else he had seen before in his career.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of take stock of whether you want to continue to perform in the way that you've been performing and behave in the way that you've been behaving after that. Like, I think if you have, for all intents and purposes, the entire nation of the Republic of Ireland on your ass for the better part of what, maybe 6 months, it was a while. Like, the saga rolled on for a hot minute. And I think, yeah, after that, you come away from it like, I don't want you near my house. I'm not talking to you. Who do you represent again? Yep, you can go fuck yourself. Nope, I'm not talking to you. Just like when Bernie Mac comes off the train in Head of State and just starts slapping everybody.
That is the greatest moment in movie history.
It really answers
every black person dream. Every black person wants that moment. When he go into the workplace, he just be like, I don't care what you got to say. Just slap, we keep walking.
Just everybody. Like, I can understand why he's standoffish with the media now. He's still... Yeah, no, even then when I think about some of his more impassioned takes recently with obviously the social uprising last summer, and he had a really good bit for the... that he was asked when he was managing CF Montreal up there in Canada. He still gives very good impassioned speeches when the moment it calls for it. But I think after that Ireland-France business, you have to think about whether or not you really want to attract more attention to yourself than you already have. Because I don't think at any other point in his career is he really going to be like under public scrutiny like that. Because think about it. Beforehand, what was the most controversial thing that he did then? Maybe a dive, maybe in some competition or something like that. Maybe he got away with a couple of calls and things of that nature. But in the context of the game, it's not nearly on the same like gravity or on the same level as this handball incident, right? And then since then, what has he done since the handball incident that's been that controversial? Nothing.
This is the moment where who can I equate it to? It's almost like Paul Pierce, like when he claims to get cramps during the, funny enough, the 2010 NBA Finals. Like, is that people remember Paul Pierce about, but you don't remember nothing else about his career. You remember that moment, and that's saying like,
yes,
and Paul are the same athletically. But it's like that moment sticks out. Like if you type in Terry on name, I guarantee you, if it's not the first hit is Arsenal, the second hit is going to be this the handball accident. And also, like someone I was listening to interview that 442 did, which by the way, if you're some soccer sport, like go check them out. 442 does great articles. They were talking about how it is looked at differently. Like Diego Maradona and Luis Suarez handball incidents are almost revered in Uruguay and Argentina respectively. Like they're looked at as these two beautiful moments of the game. But then you have Henry's moment that doesn't get is looked at as if like Henry took the ball for the free kick, crossed everyone up, and then just shot it into the back of the net. Like it just did like the Michael Jordan pose. Like, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
You know?
The one where he leaves his hand arced for just an inordinate amount of time, knowing that the shot's going in. It's just like, I know it's going in, but you don't. Yeah, hold on, wait.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but it makes like this is the racism side of it that really got pointed out about how Black footballers are looked at publicly, because I would say out of everyone, because we know how FIFA and UEFA are, we know they're corrupt. Because Michel Platini and Slot Matter put together is not a good combination at all. Like, they ruin everything. But the France Football Federation really did a poor job of having Henry's back and other footballers back, because once again, the 2010 World Cup was a whole cluster bomb of everyone getting everything wrong and no one listening to no one. And you just think about it, like, if France football really just made a statement of like, we feel bad for the Irish, but the hatred and the despicableness that Henry is getting is uncalled for. We will stand with it. I don't think Henry turns his back and pretty much just cuts off ties as he did with the French Football Federation, like he spoke about in Nicolas Anelka's documentary on Netflix, which, by the way, is a good documentary. Like, it is top tier. But yeah.
Here's my thing about that. I don't think anybody can really, well, I mean, many have denied the implicit bias that comes along when we talk about things like anti-blackness and how there are double standards in the things that are viewed. You just pointed out that they still call Diego Maradona's incident a hand of God, when it quite literally was the most comical thing that you've ever seen in your entire life.
Literally, look at every World Cup commercial. It's always played. And I guarantee you now, that now that he's passed away, it's going to be played even more leading up to the 2022 World Cup.
Yeah. The truth of the matter is that there is nothing natural about this motion. It's comical how bad that handball actually is, and how even a linesman back then doesn't spot it. Like, he
literally volleyballed the ball into the back of the net.
Swear down, he could have spiked it actually into the net the way that he was going. Like, it was incredible. Look, don't get me wrong. Mad props on the elevation. Dude had hops. But I want to say that if this is a slam dunk contest, that's literally like, that's an alley-oop motion where you just go up and you do a 360 and you just kind of like windmill it after that. And you kind of like just slam it. Come on, bro. How do you miss that? But as you pointed out, he's revered for that. Luis Suarez against Ghana. That's fine. Even though it's not, but that's fine. Everybody's saying that he's a hero for doing that. And some people saying, yeah, he did what it took to keep his team in the game. It's like, yeah, I guess I have to give you that, but come on, bro. But now here comes Thierry Henry's moment, which at the time, I'll admit, I thought it was just like, oh, that's cheeky, Thierry, done a naughty thing there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but the thing about it is that if anybody's moment constitutes the same excuses that Diego Maradona and Luis Suarez got, it's Thierry Henry's moment. He definitely did that because he did what he had to do to make sure that they went to the World Cup. Everything's riding on this big moment. I don't know. Apart from anti-blackness, what else explains why he got the level of vitriol that he got? It's as simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that, man. And I think that's a good point to wrap this podcast up, man. I thank you so much for going down the rabbit hole with me. I know, like Black Soccer Twitter, I'm known as like the conspiracy theories because I can literally think of a what if moment for every moment. But I thank you for going down the rabbit hole with me, man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for at least inviting me on this journey. And we didn't need to take any like psychedelics or anything like that for it. So
no, we didn't. I just need FIFA just to slip me a $5 million payment to tell me I don't have to pay it back if I miss out on a certain tournament.
See, I would love that. Yes, if the corrupt denizens at FIFA wants to go ahead and say, hey, and we were talking about that MLS club, that $5 million will go a long way towards that. Just saying.
You're right. Now, okay, this is another one of it. Probably like if people that are listening are probably gonna laugh at this. But what if FIFA went to the US at the 20 qualification for the 2018 World Cup? It was like, look, If you don't make it, we'll give you the 2026 World Cup.
You're going to throw away the 2022 one. But everybody doesn't want to go already. So that's already sus, bro. Like, that's not really how this is going to work. Like, no one wants to go to Qatar for the 2022 World Cup. I'm sorry. Like, nobody wants to. So, like, you're actually giving people, you're giving things away now. So you don't go to the Winter World Cup and now you get to host the Yeah, I would throw the shit too. I'd be like, all right, I'm not saying anything then. I didn't even know you were here.
It just makes you think, man. Oh man, I enjoyed this episode, man. Joe, where can everyone reach you out at, man?
Oh man. Well, first of all, don't reach out to me because I don't like. No, I'm just kidding. You can find me on Twitter at TheAuracL3. That's also the Instagram handle. Please follow the Banter Pub FC at the Banter Pub FC, both on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us there. Also on Twitch, where yours truly does where I get my ass kicked every single time I play FIFA against somebody, because that's just what God has given for me. That's my ministry. That's my portion, and I will be grateful about it. Not really. I do need a win. What else? At Operation Fierce Love. That's at Op Fierce Love. That's a little initiative done in collaboration with the Plastics. So shout out to them.
Can you talk about that a little bit? I remember you talking about it on, I think, another show. But can you talk about Operation Fierce Love?
Yeah. So basically, how it started was, whilst we were doing pre-orders for the Plastics Motoric Icarus shirt, that is absolutely lovely and gorgeous. Shout out to Icarus for making it. Shout out to Mokorit of actually wearing this shirt, because they actually wear this shirt for matches down there in Alexandria. Was it Alexandria? I can never remember.
Yes, Alexandria. Anyway. Northern Virginia.
Yes, North Virginia. So I floated the idea of, how can I sponsor a shirt for like a black queer person who can't afford one that wants one, as I'm going to buy myself one. So I thought I'd go ahead and offer to do that. That idea got floated to the rest of the Plastics, and they absolutely loved it. So it then just kind of snowballed there into this initiative. It was just like, well, I don't know, does everybody want to do this? Because everybody was kind of matching that energy. So the answer became yes. And then we decided to go ahead and start a crowdfund in collaboration with the Plastics to just go ahead and raise as much money and matches for donations of shirts to what started as black queer people can't afford one. Now it's BIPOC queer people who can't afford one. So we're taking care of, black people, indigenous people, brown people, all the people that really and truly, when it comes to marginalizations and living at the unique intersections in which we all live in, like, that is something that football can be great at addressing in terms of the disparities, because it's just like, well, I have one, and if I got someone else's shirt, that's just another easy way to pull people in. Like, we talk about football shirts all the time, how the drip must be on point, because that is like one of the biggest ways to pull people into this game when you take the fashion side of things seriously. And there is nothing better than handing somebody a gorgeous shirt, even if they're not really into the sport. You'll find that they'll take a greater interest in the sport regardless, because you gave them a garment that is that's something that they would wear every day. And this shirt, well, not this one. This one you have to go and talk to Icarus about, but the one that we're giving away, we thought we can do one better than that. So I mentioned the idea of, why don't we have letters, handwritten letters of encouragement, affirmation, and love with each of these shirts that we're sending out. So shout out to the people that donated as much as they did. The shirts have arrived. We're now going into the letter writing portion. Like, we want, when that package to be open, there's like a whole bunch of letters with custom stationery in there, and the shirt as well, and all that sort of stuff. So this is going to take a fair couple of months left to complete, but we're really excited about it. And then after that, we'll see what Operation Fierce Love does after that. But this is our first initiative, basically old school letter writing, a shirt that says, if you're looking for a place into football that is queer affirming, and that takes social justice issues seriously, then you can sit with the Plastics and you can sit with us, essentially, who wear this shirt. Because that's what it means. It says it right there, always anti-fascist. And that's not for play. Do you know what I mean? So you do need to be talking to as many marginalized people as possible. That, in a nutshell, is what Operation Fierce Love is all about.
Man, anything we could do to help that message, we'll definitely do. And if you want to support Banter Pub as well, you support us. The links to Operation Fierce Love, all that will be down in the description down below. But to wrap up this podcast, man, I just want to again thank you for coming on, Joe. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure and privilege. And yeah, hope it's not the last time.
No, we probably got some more incidents coming up, you know. But for all the listeners out there, if you want to support our podcast, you can do so down in the description down below. This is your host, as always, Elliot Barr. Keep doing the good side, guys. We'll holler at you later.